Come join us June 25th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 116 21st Avenue. There will be free food, live demonstrations, samples of our fresh organic produce, games, and more. For more information and to stay updated on Clean Greens, follow us on Instagram at Clean Greens Farm Market. And I'll see you at the block party June 25th.
Greetings. This is your host, DJ Neftali, Rainier Avenue Radio World, the best DJ in the Seattle area. You can catch me every Monday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Like I said, this is DJ Neftali, the best reggae in Seattle, Washington, the best radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio World. Mom. Right?
Different rules apply when it gets this late. You know what I mean? It's like after hours.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right.
Hello, I'm an unpaid spokesman for DJ Sotovaci. I'd like to invite you to listen to his free-form music show. It's popular music the way it was never intended to be heard. Whatever gets you through the night, late nights, here on Rainier Avenue Radio World.
Whatever gets you through the night.
Come on out and join us for Doug Baldwin's annual community barbecue, June 18th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Renton Memorial Stadium. Bring your friends and make some new ones. There will be music and dancing, delicious barbecue for only $10 a plate, carnivals and games for the kids, and a whole maze of bouncy houses. You can even play catch with former Seahawk Doug Baldwin Jr. and his friends. And there will be a few other surprises. Bottom line, you really don't want to miss Doug Baldwin's annual community barbecue, June 18th, 11 to 3 at Renton Memorial Stadium. RSVP today to reserve your plate by going to uwkc.org. That's uwkc.org. Sponsored by the Seattle Kraken, Seattle Seahawks, and United Way of King County.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio World, and on Twitter at Rainier Av Radio.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio World. It's me, Tony B. I am your host. You are listening to the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities special broadcast. It's still a special broadcast. I remember the first time saying that on March 13th, special broadcast. I thought 2-3 shows, maybe a couple of months, I'd be saying special broadcast. I'm still saying special broadcast. And I should just say regular programming, because I don't see any time in the near future where we will not be discussing the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. Not only did it impact and affect everything that we did for a couple of years, and then we got vaccines, but we still don't know how that 2 years is going to look moving forward for a lot of folks, for our students, for those who are isolated, for our businesses and organizations. So I don't know, maybe I'll break the habit of saying special programming and just start saying regular programming of impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. Got another great show for you lined up. We're going to be talking with Shantia Walton and Adaze Madani of Flo Fit, and they're going to talk about an upcoming Fit Melanin Summer Event. And so a lot of folks were isolated and didn't get to move around over the pandemic and gather and meet with folks like this and work out together. And that itself caused health issues. I mean, the domino effect of this. Anyway, so now folks are gathering again. We've got vaccines. For folks who don't want to, you still have the option not to. And some folks are still wearing masks. But we are kind of gathering again. And, you know, it's good to be interactive with folks face to face instead of just over a virtual platform. But we got used to the virtual platform as well. A couple things we've got going on that I want to share with you before we get to this show. I'll be bringing on Chris Herman from Seattle Foundation. Excited to talk about what Seattle Foundation has been doing. And they'll be here in a couple minutes. Anyway, tomorrow we will be broadcasting live, Rainier Avenue Radio Live at the annual community barbecue put on by Doug Baldwin and United Way of King County. I know D Money will be there with me, and Daniel, there's just a ton of stuff going on. Have you seen the calendar of events? And wow, it's at Renton Stadium. There's so much going on at that event. Just incredible. $10 a plate. If you don't have $10, someone has already paid for your plate. Mr. Bellis, 2,600 people have already registered for this event, and that would be our phone. So that's on Saturday from 11 to 3. Then on Sunday from 11 to 3, we'll be coming to you live, broadcasting from Juneteenth. And this is something that has been put on by Atlantic Street Center 21 years. It's at the Rainier Beach Community Center Plaza. Juneteenth celebration. We'll be there from 11 to 3, broadcasting live from there as well. But wait, there's more. We're going to come back on Tuesday. We'll be broadcasting from noon to 9 from Pier 62 for the worldwide celebration holiday of music, Make Music Day. We'll be presenting Make Music Day of Seattle from noon to 9. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. 9 different groups performing, interactive activities, musical giveaways. Again, we've had to do this 2 years virtually, but now we're able to gather again. So we're excited as a radio group to be able to get back out into our community and bring you these live broadcasts from our community. Yeah, looking forward to that. And seeing you again. Well, like really seeing you, not just virtually. And then you'll also have an opportunity to come down and meet some of your favorite show hosts as well. Right now, I'd like to bring Chris Herman onto the program from Seattle Foundation, the Chief Impact Officer. Chris, how are you?
Good, Tony B. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me back.
Good to see you again. Can you believe it's probably been a couple years?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's been about 25 months.
Yeah. When we first had the opportunity and it was, the weird thing, Chris, weird for me, maybe. It seemed like while we were in COVID, it was forever. It just went on and on and on. I mean, during the periods of lockdown and then when it was gone, it was like poof. And then I went on in talking to people. I had to remember 2 years had passed. We say, "Oh, when's the last time I seen you?" Been at least 2 years.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think weird's a good way to describe it for everybody, and hard, and it still gets harder.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to leave out any adjectives that exclude people who have endured this pandemic, and and this is just my thought, and you don't have to agree to me, but we weren't all in this together. Some of us were in this in a horrible, terrible way.
Yeah.
And it may have impacted and affected everyone, but how that impact and effect was felt was different, depending on a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
That is a great segue into the Seattle Foundation. And to talk about the work that the Seattle Foundation does, has done, will continue to do. But first, Chris, before we start talking about the Seattle Foundation, I'm not going to read your bio.
Great. So let's just get to the conversation, Tony B.
I want you to tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, a little bit of your history, and why you choose to do the work that you do.
Well, those are all great questions. I think more the work that you continue to lift up on your show is the place we want to focus our attention. I mean, I'm from a small rural town, farm town in Wisconsin. I've been very lucky to be living in the greater Seattle area now for over 10 years. And most of my work has been focused on trying to bring philanthropists and donors to be in partnership alongside community leaders and community advocates, many who you have on this show, who are really paving a way for us to think about how we can be building a community of belonging and connection and prosperity for all of us, all of our neighbors.
And at a critical time, it's really needed work. Why, Chris? Why? You said what you do. Why do you do this type of work?
I think the same way, in the same reason you do, Tony B. It's we all have a role and a place to be in community one another, see one another, hear one another, and really lifting up the lives of our neighbors and workers and families who, continue to be most impacted by racism and injustices of our community, and a community that has just prospered and grown so much. And the why is I will always show up and be where's needed. I'm needed to be to ensure that we're just making sure that every individual, all of our families are really able to thrive in this region.
Okay, let's talk about the Seattle Foundation. And you can use the $25 words if you want to. But I really want to make this connection with who the Seattle Foundation is and what the Seattle Foundation does. A lot of what you do for a lot of folks is behind the scenes. They see the benefit of the work that you do, but may have not even heard of the Seattle Foundation. And when I do bring those community organizations on, we don't spend a lot of time talking about the Seattle Foundation. We spend most of the time talking about the work that they do, because they are also, in a lot of instances, unfamiliar to our community at large, maybe to the very specific community that they serve. But it is this cluster of smaller organizations that form one big umbrella that we hoped was there when their COVID began.
Yeah.
And we found out that safety net wasn't as safe as we thought it was. And so this is really an opportunity to share with folks who the Seattle Foundation is. Now, I am going to ask you how COVID impacted the work that you do, and if it did indeed impact how you will work in the future. But let's start with the Seattle Foundation. When did you get started? Why did you get started? What is the work that you do? And I know, like everything else that was impacted with COVID, and we'll talk about that. But I want to get a good idea about the Seattle Foundation, who you are and what you do.
Well, I appreciate that, Tony B. I mean, Seattle Foundation is the community's foundation here in the region. It's over 75 years old. And at the core of it, the Seattle Foundation brings together philanthropists, families, foundations, in partnership with community and our community leaders who are driving transformative and innovative change. And our role is, we're comprised of hundreds of funds of individuals, families, and corporations. And our role is to support them in being able to move resources and develop partnerships and greater awareness and understanding of how community leaders, locally, advocates are really driving for transformative change that, as you noted, will really ensure that workers and families, individuals, neighbors in our communities not only have the safety and support networks that they need in time of crisis, but that they really have the resources and access to programs and opportunities that allow them to thrive over the long term and over generations.
And again, just as if I was from Mars, how would you describe philanthropy and what that means, what that is? Philanthropy.
Well, I think it is, the love of human, the love of community, and to take the resources that people have and corporations, families have to really invest in the communities they call home. And it's to do it through the resources that people have built through generational wealth, through their businesses through their families, and to think about how the benefits that they've gained through their time in a region or through their businesses, they can give back and help to grow and positively shape our region.
Now, this is work that the Seattle Foundation has done, and again, like you said, 75 years. I was familiar with the Seattle Foundation, and I'm just going to say this, because I can, because it's my radio show.
Absolutely.
Y'all were one of the organizations, and people can agree with me or disagree with me, that I thought really stepped up and responded on behalf of our community during the coronavirus. I don't know that I could say the same thing before the coronavirus, and maybe I was just unaware. But when there was a crisis, I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, that I saw the Seattle Foundation pivot in the way that they do things, at least from my perspective, and respond. And I think that is a big thing, that flexibility and adaptability to change to a changing landscape, because when a crisis happens, the folks who have the least are catching the most hell while everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And I saw the pivot you made to make sure that you responsibly, but at the same time, took a little risk in saying, this is what has to be done. We have to figure out how to make sure that we respond to the people who are on the front lines of what's taking place. Now, that's just me saying that, all right? That's so I'm going to ask you now, when COVID happened, did it at all change and impact the way that you do business? And if so, how?
I think it did. And I think your assessment, Tony, of not seeing Seattle Foundation really before that is fair. I would just say it was more under the radar. And Michael Brown, my predecessor, I mean, he'd been in his role for 20 years at Seattle Foundation, really, I think, kind of paving a way for us actually to be ready for that moment at the beginning of the coronavirus. Yes, Seattle Foundation, alongside many of our corporate and foundation and individual donor partners, stood up one of the first coronavirus response funds in the country. Much of that groundwork had been laid. Partly it's because we had the relationships. We had relationships with the funders and donors. We also had relationships that Michael and the team built for decades in communities most impacted. So when you've had Aaron and you had Greg on the show a few weeks back, and that's just kind of a handful of people, but it's been work that we could look to accelerate.
Just so that we give them the props before you finish. Aaron Acuna,
from CSEC,
and then Gregory Davis from the Rainier Beach Action Coalition. Since you mentioned them, I wanted to make sure we talked about the organizations that they were with. But go ahead, I interrupted you.
Oh no,
everyone may not be familiar with them.
Understood.
So, okay, well, let me be shameless and give them a plug.
I know you've got a strong following, so I figured they've all just been tracking the conversations. So I think the pivot was in the way we brought more people together more quickly to really focus on a set of grants and moving resources as quickly as we could. That was specifically focused on communities most impacted by the virus, and that was Black, Indigenous, communities of color, immigrant communities, supporting elders, economically vulnerable gig workers. And we were able to pivot and do that work in a more visible way because we brought together philanthropy, the public sector, as well as the private sector, in aligned around principles of racial justice, community design solution, and moving resources quickly with flexibility to communities most impacted. So I think all of us have seen we did our work differently. And I think we're able to do it differently because we're on that pathway. And we've learned that there's just more we need to continue to do differently, because no one needs to go back to what was normal.
And I want you to explain how you were able to do that, because you've given away millions of dollars. And when something happens, when it's one thing, I don't want to say it's easy to mobilize around. It's just one thing, and you can center your attention and focus. The coronavirus impacted everything. And so as a philanthropic organization, you were put into a role, or maybe it's a role that you already had as an organization, is that very quickly you had to understand what social service providers in our community did for just about everything,
Right.
From rent to homelessness, to small businesses, to healthcare, media, because it touched everything.
Yeah.
How was your organization? And I say that because in specific, some of the race and social justice issues we've been trying to tackle for 400 years.
Of course.
You know, and there is no silver bullet and no overnight solution. But I don't want to simplify putting that together. I mean, I remember being on this show and in March and saying, well, can you tell me what's going on in my community? And there was a problem with gathering information to use for data based on race that had to be that was something that had to be changed before we could even find out how many people in our community were being impacted and affected. And they go, oh, well, we are going to have to do this in a way where we identify our communities to find out how they're impacted. And that was city government. How did you do that? I mean, I know that's probably, a big question. And again, no one silver bullet, but just again, in explaining who Seattle Foundation is, that's probably not one of the things that you talk a lot about.
Well, I think, you pointed out, I mean, this is work our work is ultimately about relationships. Are we in community, and are we in relationship with communities most impacted by injustices? And as you said, even though we didn't have the data about what the impacts or who is being impacted, given that fighting racism and advancing racial justice has been underway for 400 years, we could guess pretty well. And because we, and especially under Michael's leadership for 20 years, we were in close relationship. As soon as the fund got announced, I was getting called from workers who immediately, and especially gig workers who were laid off in the service industry, Uber drivers, people who worked at food carts around some of the business. And people called immediately to say, I need help. I'm going to have to pay rent in 2 weeks. I've been laid off. I don't qualify for unemployment. And we know race is the number one predictor in most social, using most social, outcome indicators. So we knew because we had relationship in communities most impacted by racism and injustices, that we would need to listen and we'd need to be able to move quickly. And because we had those relationships in place, we knew that, and we trusted, because we had been supporting groups and in partnership, we trusted what people were seeing and hearing and how they needed resources to support workers and families in their communities. So we moved, we raised money as quickly as we could, and we moved the money out as quickly as we could, knowing that families immediately were going to be under pressure to make rent, put food on the table, keep electricity and heat on, be able to transport to frontline jobs with public transportation down. Just put it in the hands of people who are in community, have been advocates in leading, who have the kind of rootedness and relationship, and trust them to move the resources as they see fit.
And in that process, again, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio. It's me, Tony B. This is the impacts of coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. My guest is Chris Herman, Chief Impact Officer for the Seattle Foundation. You gave away a number of different grants in a variety of sizes, monetary values. But I want to talk about this one specific one. I just wanted to share information. So because I've had some guests on this last grant that you awarded, or maybe you're still awarding them, but this big, you gave away $200,000 a year for 3 years, which is just incredible, to support our community. And I'm not going through all of the grants because you had grants that were far less than that as this was starting out, as you started to move money. But I want to talk about this one because that really creates a sustainable situation. Part of what was done during COVID was we were trying to stick our fingers in the dike and stop, everywhere. And the dike kept leaking, But this is talk about this grant. What is the name of it? Talk about how it came to be and why you decided to do this and how many groups actually received those awards.
Sure. Thanks, Tony B. So the Fund for Inclusive Recovery, as you noted, we announced about a little over 6 weeks ago in making grants to 21 organizations totaling a little over $12.5 million, providing flexible multi-year grants for organizations that are doing collective power building in community. And you have highlighted Aaron's work at CSEC and Gregory's work at Ryback as 2 examples. There's 19 other groups that receive funding. I think what's important.
There was also a group, and I don't remember the name, but that supported our East Asian Indian communities as well. It was great to have them on the show and be able to expose, because a lot of times people don't hear about some of these things. I'm interrupting you again. I'm gonna let you talk.
Oh, no. It is. It's that partnership between the Indian American Community Services, East Side for All, and the Muslim Community Network Association. And, I think lifting up all of the groups is what's really important, as you have shared. I think what was important about the Fund for Inclusive, the conception of it came through the Community Advisory Group for the COVID-19 Response Fund. Immediately, while we saw how broken the systems were and how devastated our communities were as a result of the pandemic, really it just intensified what was already there. And so everyone's like, yes, we need to make sure that our most vulnerable workers and families are taken care of, especially through this initial stage of the pandemic. We also have to start immediately think about what does it mean to rebuild or reimagine how our communities can be and build back afterwards. Because what we don't want is to build back to what was, knowing for 400 years, racism and racialized disparities have really harmed and hurted our most vulnerable workers and families. So the Fund for Inclusive Recovery, advised by a group of over 20 leaders from communities most impacted, immediately started thinking through what is it after we move these original resources, what's for the long term? How do we make sure we're in this for the long term to provide sustained, flexible resources so that community groups like Rainier Beach Action Coalition, like CSEC, like the Partnership on the East Side, and One America, all of the groups had the resources to really bring together their community, their constituents, to collectively build their power to advocate for that longer term systems change, whether it's in education or housing, in food security, that really was going to create permanent solutions so that if we ever came upon another moment where we were impacted like a pandemic, we wouldn't find these disparities disproportionately impacting Black, Indigenous, communities of color, immigrant families in the way that the coronavirus did. That we really take it as a really a moment to say we're compelled to do differently now, and that is not. It's just not for the crisis. It's for the long term.
You know, Chris, I'm glad that we didn't have to speak in sound bites so that we could have this conversation. But it seems like we just started and it's almost over. And I'm really enjoying this opportunity to share with folks who the Seattle Foundation is, the role that you play in our community. But I am going to give you about 40 seconds for final words before we go. Whatever it is that you would like to say to our audience that is listening, our audience that is watching and listening. The floor is yours.
Well, I appreciate that, Tony B. And thanks again. I always enjoy our conversations and so appreciate all you do for our community. And that's really what I lift up. And you've said it before, that take a look at and really be in partnership with the groups that are being supported through the Fund for Inclusive Recovery, but who are on the ground really driving the change. I mean, our goal is really to continue to do better, because we have a ways to go, but we're sitting in community and learning, and as we're making mistakes, we're changing. And there's such incredible work, innovative work that's being led, by the likes of Gregory and Lalita and Aaron, that more of us just need to get behind and lift up and really put a spotlight on not just what they've helped us all manage through, but really the permanent solutions that they're building by really fostering the power that exists in our communities to really strive for that bigger change.
Well, when I am talking to the awardees, as you can see, 30 minutes goes by really quickly in these kinds of community conversations.
Yeah.
And so I don't spend a lot of time talking about the Seattle Foundation. So I've been because I'm trying to highlight the organizations.
And we want that too, Tony. We want that too. It's where the attention should be. All of our attention and our support should be on those community leaders.
But I'm really glad that we took the time to not bring you on as a guest and make you speak in sound bites, to spend some time.
You're a good man that way.
Foundation, and share with folks your organization and the role that you play in our community. And in the words of that great orator Biggie Smalls, if you don't know, now you know.
And we appreciate you getting the word out, Tony B. Thank you.
Well, Chris, you and everyone at the Seattle Foundation continue to keep up the amazing work that you do, and we'll continue to shine a spotlight on our communities and what our communities are doing during this time. Thanks for joining me, Chris. And this is just a little something I'm going to say. Folks don't really understand that if you don't understand how the granting process works, everyone was in a situation where we don't have time to do this. We can't tell you about how it's going to work because we don't know.
Yeah.
And that was a difficult place to be. And just having you talk again about gig workers not having jobs, people buskers, just going back to that situation, it's easy to forget where we were at
right. Well, appreciate your continuing to put a spotlight on it, because we can't forget. There's so much more we've got to do and do better. So we always enjoy being a part of conversation with you, and know that you're really bringing attention to things we just need to continue to lift up. So thanks, Tony B.
All right, Chris, I went overtime, so I got to go.
You got it.
Coming up, we'll be talking with folks from Free Fit Flow, Free Flow Fit, Free Flow Fit, Free Flow. Say that fast 3 times. Days and Shantia will be joining us. One of the things that happened over COVID, as I mentioned before, is we were isolated. Folks didn't get to gather and work out together. It was major health issues. Well, now it's happening again. So we're going to talk to Shantia and the Days. I hope I say your name correctly. Not if I'm saying your name correct. Is it a Days? They can't see you, but I can see you. Yeah. Okay, we'll get it right. We'll be back in about 3 minutes, and we're going to talk about an event that's coming up, the Fit Melanin Summer Event at Judkins Park, and find out how the whole 2 years of coronavirus affected and impacted the work of Shantia in the days of Free Flo Fit. We'll be back right after this.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not busy tearing the roof off the suckers, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Festival Sunjata. The Black Arts Fest is back. Produced in partnership with Sunjata African American Cultural Association for 2022. This year's Festival Sunjata will take place in person on June 17th from 6 to 9 p.m., June 18th, 12 to 9 p.m., and Sunday, Juneteenth and Father's Day, 12 to 7 p.m. Got a couple stages for you. One inside at the Armory Food and Event Hall, the other at the Mural Amphitheater. This event is free and open to the public. Guest artists include the Barkays, Rick James' original Stone City Band, Kalimba, and just a whole lot more. A marketplace with over 80 different vendors. Also the Tuskegee Airmen, Buffalo Soldiers, and the Unspoken Truths Museum. Festival Sunjata 2022, June 17th, 18th, and 19th. Free and open to the public. Don't miss it. We're back.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Oh, we want to pump you up today. This is God Is, and we're doing a lot of different things in your community. We want to make sure we get in touch with each and every person that is. And so go to our Instagram, Facebook, tweet. We doing it all in your community. Go to our website also. Look us up, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Inspirational gospel music and also God Is Talk Show. Miss Dinah doing it all as we doing it right here on your favorite community radio station. So look us up. Go to our website. This is God Is and Inspirational Gospel Music.
Feel uneasy on your feet? Need assistance to walk? Do you use a wheelchair and want to stand more? What if you could stand stronger and feel steadier on your feet? What would this mean for your daily life and those closest to you? Join our dance-based walking program to improve balance, coordination, strength, and stamina. Wednesdays, May 18th to June 22nd at 2 p.m. at the iconic Columbia City Theater in partnership with Rainier Avenue Radio and Hugs That Empower nonprofit. Walkers, wheelchairs, and canes welcome. If you can stand and bear weight for even just 5 seconds, come dance to walk with Tango Stride.
Live from Upper Left USA, this is Caleb Brown with Unleashed Entertainment. You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's me, Tony B., your host of the Impact of the Coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities programming that we do every Friday from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, highlighting members of our community, talking about the coronavirus. We bring on health professionals, business professionals, academics, folks in education, small business owners, literally anyone to talk about the impact that coronavirus had on what they do. And so I think I see a Days here. I'm not sure if I see Santia, so I'm going to bring a Days on. Now,
Hello, Tony. How are you?
Am I saying your name correctly?
You're close. It's Adeze. Adeze. Adeze.
You're too kind. That wasn't close.
You were close. You got it. That was it. That's it. Adeze. Thank you.
I think names are important, so I try to get them right.
They are. They very much are. Yeah.
Thank you is Shantia going to be joining us?
Shantia will not be able to join us today. Okay. She got caught with a couple of things, but maybe next time when we get a chance to go down to the station, she'll definitely be there with me.
Well, we'll just spend some time, you and I.
Yeah, all good. You know, either one of us represents Free Flow Fit, so it doesn't matter. You're talking to me, you're basically talking to everyone.
Okay. Desi, let's talk about Free Flow Fit, who you are, what you do.
Sure.
Although I do read the bios, I would rather not just read the bio. So tell us about your background, where you're from,
Yeah.
and a little bit about yourself,
Yeah.
and why you choose to do what you do.
Well, first and foremost, Tony, thank you so much for having us on. Like, this is great. We love the opportunity to get to let the people know what we're doing for us, you know, the BIPOC community. So my name is Adeza Medani. Born and raised in the Seattle, Washington area. Both my parents are Nigerian. They were both born and raised there. Got mom came here in 1992, had me 1993, and then, you know, four others followed along after that. I went to school at the University of Washington, but even prior to that, I went to Bellarmine Prep in Tacoma for high school, then University of Washington for school. And actually, that's where I met my now business partner, Shantia Copeland. That's where we met first. But at the time, you know, we weren't really we weren't diehard fitness fanatics. I mean, I was an athlete. I know she at some point was an athlete. She did cheer at school. But yeah, I mean, fast forward to now, I got into fitness after I went on a trip to Jamaica. I kind of, how do I put this into words? I was big on just feeling strong, feeling real strong. And throughout college, I was big on sports prior to college. And I know at some point I kind of felt, you know, a little depressed. I know a lot of students go through that when they go to college, not kind of understanding where they are at in life, having a lot of confusion. But the one thing I will say while I was in college that kept me going was just finding ways to move my body. Movement is medicine for me. So, you know, when I'm stressed, you'll find me running wherever. I don't even know where. I know that there was a trail that, like, it was around Gasworks Park. I used to go through that trail often and run there. But even aside from that, if I do go to the gym, it's really my main purpose is just to move. And, you know, after college, you know, went into the workforce, work field, and I was trying to find ways to continue to move my body. So planned a trip to Jamaica with friends, came back. You know, I was taking these photos prior to Jamaica, or excuse me, after Jamaica, post Jamaica. And I looked at myself and I was like, you know what, as I look, when I look at myself, I felt like I could be so much more than what I see on the photo, you know? And what I saw in the photo was someone who was low-key tired of where they were at, someone who was really trying to find a way to feel empowered inside and outside. And at that time, I was on this journey, this mindset journey, I guess, if you would say, personal development of just trying to become a higher version of myself. And I was able to do that through fitness. So I took that photo 2018. And then a couple months later, I was like, you know, let's get serious about this fitness thing. I wanted to kind of shift gears and go into a different avenue. So I found a love for weightlifting, you know, and resistance training. And that changed my body a lot. So 2018, I took this photo. A year later, I took a photo wearing the same thing I wore 2018 in August. And that completely, like, you look, there's a big difference. There's a big difference there, you know? And then from there, I mean, I had a lot of people asking me, hey, like, what did you do? How did you get to this point? And that's when I was like, you know what? I think it's time to take this fitness thing a little bit more seriously. But at the time, one of my friends, she was running Umoja Fest, and she saw the work I put in. She knows what time I would go, you know, get up in the morning to go work out at the gym, 5 a.m. Like, I remember going to the gym like 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., getting my hour and a half workout in. Then I would get back home, get ready to go to my 9 to 5. And then, yeah, like right after, I'll have time for myself and try to find other ways to, like, just, I guess, relax. But I remember those times, and I was so determined to hit this certain goal that I had. And did it. And she saw that and she wanted to find a way to incorporate fitness into Umoja Fest. So she asked me to lead a workout session at Umoja Fest 2019. And at the time, I've never led a workout session at all. Like I'm like, I know how to get myself to a higher version, but I don't know how to do that for other people. So here's where Shantia comes into the mix. She got her NASM certification recently. And I personally was really happy to hear that. And at some point, I really look up to Shantia and just her determination, her drive. She's an amazing individual. And I remember having a conversation with her. I took her out to lunch. I was like, hey, girl, I'm trying to get my NASM certification too. Can I get some pointers here and there? And she helped me out a lot. And then after that, when I got that invite to do Umoja Fest, I asked her to come along with me and do this workout. So another individual, Gigi, she's a dance instructor. All three of us on stage, August 2019, and led I would say a 20, 30-minute workout session in 80+ degree weather, 2019. And I was surprised. People loved it. I mean, our main goal was just to get people moving. And, after, people were trying to figure out where they can get more of this. When you see three, Black women fitness trainers, right? Or per se, fitness coaches, movement coaches, whatever you want to call it, up there, that's empowering for a lot of people. At that time, we didn't really know where our next direction was going to be or where to really direct people. At the time, I was telling people, hey, Shanti is a NASM certified personal trainer. She'll be more than happy to, give any tips and tricks, that she sees may be valuable. But fast forward, I think it was about a year later, I met up with a couple of other fitness trainers at 24 Hour. They're both of them black males, and we were trying to figure out what we could do for the month of February, Black History Month, and we were trying to find a way to highlight Black fitness trainers in the Seattle area, because for whatever reason people think that we don't exist, but we're here, So our biggest thing was to figure out how can we highlight us and let our people know that we're here for y'all, and we decided to set a meeting here at Applebee's, the two guys that I met at 24 Hour, and then I called upon Shantia, and then there's one other guy that we used to do workout sessions back in the day. I asked him to come to that meeting. So four of us ended up doing the meeting at Applebee's. Applebee's is where Free Flo Fit was born, to be quite honest, because we came in thinking, okay, how can we highlight, Black and brown fitness trainers in the Seattle area? And after having conversations and realizing that, man, our people need more than just a Black History Month highlight of Black, fitness trainers. We realized we could do so much more if we come together and maximize our efforts, each and every one of us. And through that, I know Shantia, she's had her mindset on putting together a nonprofit organization or finding some type of nonprofit organization. And she gave us the idea, like, hey, y'all, why don't we make this a nonprofit? And then we were bouncing around ideas on a name, and literally Free Flo Fit was born that day at Applebee's in November 2020. And 2 years later, we're throwing our big old event, second annual Fit Melanin Summer Event. And, kind of the rest was history there. But we've done so much since then within these 2 years, starting a business right before a pandemic was not easy. However, I do believe that the pandemic made people realize how important it is to stay active, remain active, take care of your, because that's one of your biggest assets you got. Health is wealth. And I know that sounds so cliche, but if you don't have your health, it's going to be really tough, for you.
It's not going to be really tough. It's going to be damn near impossible if you don't have your health. And so that's not cliche. I'm going to shamelessly, advocate for people understanding how important your health is to you. Because if you don't have it, that's not the time to start thinking about it at first. Anyway.
You're so right. No, I absolutely agree with you, Tony, 100%. And through the pandemic, we were hosting free 1-hour workouts on Saturdays. We started in person, and then, the pandemic started to progress. So I think we were able to get 3 in-person workout sessions in BCD Fitness Center, not too far from where y'all are at. And I think that last week we were going to have a children's special or children's segment where we were inviting all, the parents to bring their children, and one of our trainers at the time was going to work them out. That didn't happen because, we had to shut things down. So we were like, all right, it's time to figure out how we can continue this on. And, Zoom was obviously a big deal, and still a big deal now. So we transitioned onto Zoom. Definitely had to grow our following with Zoom. But what I will say is through the pandemic era, I know we're still in the pandemic era, it was cool to be able to have Free Flow Fit reach different countries. It was international. We no longer just had people from the Seattle area. We had people tuning in from London, Italy, Nigeria, New Zealand. We had somebody from New Zealand at a point. It was just so cool to see all these different people tune in to get their free Saturday workout. And it was very motivating for us. That right there definitely helped us keep going, because there are times where it got tough. Financially for us, we were like, we're not making money doing this. All we're doing right now is building the foundation for Free Flow Fit. And up till this day, we haven't paid ourselves out yet. We understand that what we're doing is bigger than ourselves, and we understand the work it's going to take to get it to a place where we truly want it to be. And something else that we're also trying to understand too, and really this is like our battle cry here. We want our people to understand how valuable what we're doing is, because this is for y'all, like us. We keep saying this is created for us, by us, because we understand how important health is. And we also understand how expensive it can be. And it's a privilege to be able to have personal trainers. That's a privilege. And I think about what Shantia brings to the table. She's both a NASM certified personal trainer, as well as a nutrition coach, certified nutrition coach. I'm also a NASM certified personal trainer. We both have clients, we both are trainers outside of Free Flow Fit. We have clients that pay us money, serious money. So we understand how valuable what we're doing is. And to be able to take an hour of our time to give back to our community, we just want our community to see how valuable that is. Because if you go to a gym and try and get what we give y'all every week on Saturday, it's a different story. It's not going to be free $99. You know what I'm saying? So, that's kind of where we're at right now. And we're really happy with our growth. Fit Melanin Summer, this is our second year doing this. Last year, it went amazing. We were very happy and thankful and grateful for Seattle Parks and Recreation for the grant that allowed us to put on an event such as that. It was really great to be able to network with Black and Brown businesses in the Seattle-Tacoma area and see them move as well. I remember last year, our biggest thing was, if you're coming to this event, you're wearing active gear, like you're going to be in active clothing, because we want you to move and groove and locate our way of tricking people into working out with us. So you have to find loopholes. If we tell people, hey, there are going to be Black and Brown business vendors that you can support, there will be food. I mean, you're going to come. And then by default, you're just going to have to work out because everybody else is working out too. So you're going to look funny if you're in the corner just chilling. You know what I mean? Like we find ways to trick people into moving their bodies in a fun way. But it's great that we're able to do this again this year. Seattle Parks and Recreation, thank you again for the grant. And every year we're just planning to make this bigger and bigger and bigger. We're already over our number of the amount of vendors that we had from last year. I think we're almost at about 30. We had 20 last year, so we're already up 10 more. we're looking for, more. But yeah, let me put it this way. For those who know what Umoja Fest is, we want to take the concept of Umoja Fest and make it surround it, or make that day all about fitness, health, and wellness. So it's basically an Umoja Fest, but it's centered towards fitness, health, and wellness.
Wow. I'm gonna add. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the event because you've kind of talked about it, but I want to make sure that we give some specifics.
Of
But
course.
before I do that, Daniel, are you listening to her voice? She needs to be on radio.
Me? Oh goodness, thank you. I really appreciate
that voice. Oh, she needs to be on the radio. Anyway, okay. What we didn't get with times, dates, where is it all taking place, and what kind of movements are you talking about with Free Flow Fit?
Absolutely. So date, time, all that good stuff. So it's going to be on July 9th at Junkins Park from 2 to 7 p.m. What to bring: activewear and a positive mindset, good energy. Positive vibes is what we're looking for. In terms of movement, really what we're doing here is just getting your body to, we want you to move your body. So we're going to be doing like compound body movements. It's all going to be body weight exercises.
Wait for the uninitiated. Compound body movements. Don't talk to me in $25 words. All right. What do you mean when you say that?
Yeah, so compound body movements. So that's essentially when you're using multiple parts of your body for movement. Okay. So for example, we could work our lower body, or we can add some elements to that lower body exercise to make it a compound body movement.
Okay, keep going. I just said everybody is, that's a little above my pay grade. Okay.
No, and I shouldn't have, and I apologize, y'all. I probably shouldn't have used that word, but it just, as a trainer, we think of training.
Okay, so more movements. Explain those movements. What's Free Flow Fit? What is it?
Yeah. So Free Flow Fit, our catchphrases, our phrases: we free, we flow, we fit, and that's how we end, or not even end. We say that throughout our workouts because we want everybody to feel free, to feel flow, and to feel fit. Because even though you aren't free, flow, fit at that moment, eventually, it's the power of speaking things into existence. The more you say it, eventually you're going to be free, flow, and fit, right? So that's really what Free Flow Fit stands for, right? And we want to make sure that everybody feels that when they say it, even though they're not there. Say it until you are there, right? As far as just movements, so we do upper body, lower body, full body. Again, we started off with just doing full body, no equipment workouts, body weight exercises. Now we're at a point where we're incorporating different types of, exercise equipment. So as of recent, I would say maybe 2 months ago, we started including dumbbells. I know a lot of people are big on, using dumbbells, and, it's great, especially for my ladies. Resistance training, it's really big. So as we're growing, as we're, getting more funding, we're trying to find ways to make this a better experience for everyone and just add more elements to the workout. So full body, no equipment, exercising, that's one way to do it. And then there's resistance training, there's core training, there's a lot that you can that we can be able to provide within our classes. Really, all that we're trying to figure out right now is just finding ways to piece it bit by bit. Funding has a lot to do with it, but as of right now, we're at like that next level of, okay, we got body weight down, great. Now we're incorporating weight training. I think about a lot of the aerobics classes that people go to at like 24 LA Fitness. We're trying to emulate that, but a lot different because, we bring the energy. Our energy is a little different than big box gyms. So, yeah.
Don't go anywhere, because I want to give you an opportunity for final words here. I just freely let you flow, and it was fit. You did a great job. I didn't have to say anything. I'm said, man, we need to get her and the microphone on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Wow.
But hold on a sec, because we're going to be out of time here, but I'm going to go a little bit of overtime. I do want to make sure we get a couple of announcements. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow we will be at, speaking of getting back out again, at Renton Stadium for the annual, this is the first one, but it's going to be annual, community barbecue with Doug Baldwin, former Seahawk player and United Way of King County. And oh my gosh, they just have so much. They have bouncy houses. They've got, you can play catch with Doug and some other Seahawks players. I should have had the list here with me. I think at least five different barbecue chefs. Okay, Texas style, 5 different barbecue chefs. You're going to get your barbecue on Saturday, and then about 10 to 15 other food trucks and food vendors that are going to be there. Cost is $10 to get fed, but you know what? If you don't have $10, somebody has already paid for you, so just come anyway. And just going to be a great time. We'll be broadcasting live and showing you the festivities. That's tomorrow from 11 to 3, the United Way of King County Doug Baldwin annual community barbecue. They just wanted people to say, after the pandemic and now we've got vaccines and folks are back out, folks just want to get together. So we're just going to get together and have what Doug calls an old-fashioned Florida barbecue. Okay. So I get to find out what old-fashioned Florida barbecue is, because I haven't had a barbecue in Florida. But it's going to be a good time. Then on June 19th, we will be at the Rainier Beach Community Center Plaza for Juneteenth celebration of Atlantic Street Center, their 21st, which makes them one of the old, at this point, continuing Juneteenth celebrations in the Pacific Northwest. 21st. So yeah, just 11 to 3. That's going to be a great time as well. If you can't get there at the Rainier Beach Community Center Plaza, tune in to Rainier Avenue Radio. We're so happy to be back out in our communities broadcasting live. Then on Tuesday, June 21st, once again, we'll be back out in the community on Pier 62, broadcasting the worldwide celebration of music, Make Music Day. We'll be hosting Make Music Day Seattle. I think 9 different performers on stage on the pier. We'll have buskers and performers all up and down the waterfront in front of businesses for that day. We'll also have performers in Columbia City in front of a variety of businesses like Walgreens and the Copy Center and Ezel's and Domino's. So the whole point is to activate the city into making music on that day. Make Music Day is huge worldwide, and so since we've been with COVID, we're bringing it back to Seattle and looking forward to everyone either joining us on the pier or joining us in South Seattle. We've also got a few events going on in a few other places around Seattle as well. So 18th, 19th, and 21st, we're excited to be back out in the community. And I actually, once I saw the free Flo Fit video, I said, you know what? While people are making music, let me see if I can get them to come down there.
Oh, nice.
And
that's wonderful.
You know about that brief. We didn't finalize anything.
Yes. Oh, yeah. But just know we are more than happy to help or show up in any way that we can. Yeah.
Come down and listen to music. You might want to wear some active gear. We'll let you know for sure.
I love that.
I want to give you the opportunity, Dese, for final words that you would like to say to those who are listening and those who are also watching over our social media broadcast platforms as well.
Oh, nice. Wonderful. Well, again, Tony, thank you so much. Free Flo Fit is on behalf of Free Flo Fit, we're thankful and grateful to be able to be on with you and, just spread health and wellness and all that good stuff. So something I do want to let the people know, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, aka we are tax deductible. So we would love any donation, $1, $2, $5, it don't matter. Any donation helps. That's what allows us to continue to run and do what we do. And then as far as our event, July 9th at Judkins Park, from 2 to 7 p.m. We would love to see you there. It's a great opportunity to support Black and Brown businesses in the Seattle and Tacoma area, Seattle, Washington area in general. And yeah, we would love to connect with you. We don't buy it. Yeah, we're fitness trainers, but we do not buy it. We're here to help in any way that we can. We really are passionate with what we do. Shanti and I are truly passionate about what we do, and we just want to find ways to give back to our community.
All right. Well, Dizzy, it's been great talking to you. Hang on the line again, okay? After we go off the air, I'll holla at you. This is Tony B. You've been listening to Impacts of the Coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. If you tuned in for this conversation and missed our earlier conversation, it was a great one we had with Chris Herman, Chief Impact Officer of the Seattle Foundation, and about the work that they're doing to support our communities during this time. So you can go back and you can watch. And if you tuned in a little late to this conversation, our newest on-air personality, Adeze. No, I'm just kidding. And I just had a wonderful conversation where she explained the importance of movement, why she decided to get into this, and about summer event coming up on July 9th. So it's all worth going back on demand, and you can tell a friend to tune in again. That's it. That's all the time that I have. That's going to do it for the kid. They say, hang on. And for those of you who are on our listening formats now, you can switch over to on our watching format, you can switch over to our audio format. Just go to Rainier Avenue Radio.world and you can listen to the next hour of coronavirus shows on our format. And having said that, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you cannot, you are probably right. I'm out.